Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and if you follow me on Twitter, you already know it's about to be back to school for me, which means a couple things. One, I'm about to be really freaking busy, but also two, I'm kind of in that sort of a reorganization back to school stage where I'm getting the back to school apps fired up again, I'm getting the back to school brain fired up again, so I figured I'd show like what's on my tech. Now, I was going to do just like a what's on my phone video, but that's pretty short. I've already done stuff like that, and that is, to be honest, pretty similar to the last time I did it. But there are a couple other things that I'm also going to show, what's on my tablet, what's on my computer, and hopefully this will help any of you guys who are going back to school or people who are just curious about the stuff I use at the end of summer on a daily basis. Also, I was going to say this could be sort of like a tag video, even though maybe not every YouTuber is going to do a what's on their phone video, but feel free to tag your favorite tech people below if you want to see them make a video about what's on their tech, at least this time of year. Anyway, I'm going to get right into it, and I'm going to start off with what is on my phone. So the phone I've been using the most over the past couple of days/weeks has been the Sandstone Black 64 gig OnePlus One. Now, I know there's been a lot of animosity and people talking about OnePlus as a company after all the crap they've done in the past couple of weeks, but I'm still supporting CyanogenMod as a company, and I still love what they've done with the software here. So as you can see on my home screen, I really keep it pretty simple on the phones that I use every day. Only 2 home screens and only 1 widget. So as you can see here, this is my CyanogenMod 11S home screen, and I keep it pretty similar to stock Android or what you'd find on Google Play Edition phone or a Nexus or something like that. Have the dialer, Hangouts, Phoenix, which is the Twitter client I use that uses this material design look. It's really nice. And the camera app for CyanogenMod. And then up here I have some Google apps that I use the most often. In a folder, I have Google Tasks, which is what I use as a to-do list for class, Google Keep, and the Play Store. Swiping over to the right, we have the Today Calendar widget, and this is where you'll find all of my classes and all of the things that I have to do that are on my Google Calendar. And of course, if you tap up there, you'll get into Google Calendar. And you have Google Play Music and Spotify, which are my primary music listening apps. I use Spotify more often because there's a desktop app. And I use Package Buddy for shipping and receiving packages and tracking them. And Instagram, which is pretty good for viewing photos, but if I'm going to post them, I'm not going to use an Android device, unfortunately. And I also do use the Google Play Edition launcher, so you can see it is Austin's birthday as I'm shooting this. Happy birthday, Austin, if this is your real birthday. And I do have a flight later today, so I'm shooting this before I get on a plane. But yeah, this is the simple launcher and home screens that I have on my device. Now, if you saw my review of the OnePlus One, you already know a lot of the apps that I use, and you've probably already seen a bunch of these, but I'll go over them real quick anyway. AccuWeather Premium or Plus, which is great for literally getting minute-by-minute predictions for whether it's going to rain or not, which is actually really useful for figuring out if you're going to need an umbrella when you leave. Next up, that's notable, is Android Wear, which I'm going to be hopefully pairing with a Moto 360 any day now, Motorola. Audible, which I use for listening to some textbooks. Chrome Beta, which has got some sweet material design looks going on, so I love that. And then a whole bunch of other, stock stuff, the calendar, docs, blah, blah, blah. Dropbox. Feedly I use for keeping up with RSS feeds and news. Swiping over, we have Leo's Fortune, which is that game that I've showed a couple of people. They all seem to think it looks awesome. I showed a couple of YouTubers all in a hotel, and all of them had the immediate reaction of, wow, that looks really good. So I've been playing that for a little bit. I also have this Philips Hue light controller, so anytime I want to change the color or intensity or on and off of the lights, I have this switch here on my phone, but I mostly use my tablet for that. And of course, Package Buddy again. Piano Tiles is a Don't Touch the White Tiles app, where it's, again, a super simple game where all you have to do is tap the panels as they go down the screen and hopefully not touch the white tiles. So here's an example. Basically, you see how fast you can go, and it plays piano notes, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you've seen this game before. It's in the Play Store. You can check it out if you want. And I'll have a link to a whole bunch of the stuff I talk about right below that like button if you want to check out any of these things. But that's basically it. Reddit News, Pocket, the Play Memories app, which I showed in the RX 100 review, which lets me directly transfer photos from that RX 100 camera via NFC and Wi-Fi to this phone. I use Uber a lot too, which is great. The YouTube Studio app, which is surprisingly good and useful for what it does, and the actual YouTube app. So that's really what's on my phone. It's my OnePlus One. It's a 64 gig, so I actually have all of my Spotify music downloaded, so I'm going to get on a plane and I'm not going to have any internet connection, but I have all of my tracks readily available. So that's good, at least having 64 gigs of storage. And with the recent software update I got this morning, battery life is still great. I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm liking the stock Android feel. All right, so this is the tablet of choice. It is a 128 gig Wi-Fi only iPad mini with Retina display running iOS 7, not 8 yet, and I have the smart cover on it. And this is, I guess, yeah, my most used tablet at the moment. Now, this is my iOS home screen, so it's not going to be nearly as detailed or filled with widgets or fun launcher stuff as an Android home screen would be, but I guess I can just show you what apps I have and the way they're laid out. So I only have like a couple of folders and 2 pages of apps here, but the dock here is by far my most recent and most frequently used apps. So the Google app, Feedly and Pocket, again for news and reading news later, and a web browser, Safari, Alien Blue for Reddit, and the YouTube app all the time. But outside of that, you can see up here I have the calendar. I really don't even use the calendar app that much. I just have it there because it tells me the date all the time, and I wouldn't see the date immediately anywhere else, so I just like having the date there. Simple Note for taking notes, Dropbox, photos. I use this Instagram app once in a while, but really there's also this Flipgram, or I guess Padgram. Yeah, Padgram is the app that it's called, that actually has this tablet optimized UI for scrolling through my Instagram feed. So I use this a little bit more often, but I usually don't go on Instagram on my tablet anyway. I have the Twitter app, I have the Gmail app, and the App Store. I don't use Chrome. You notice I have Safari down here. I don't use Chrome as much because Chrome just isn't that good yet on the iPad. It's installed, but it's not in my dock because I don't use it that much, and it's also not my default web browser. But yeah, I have the Facebook app, VSCO Cam for editing photos. I wish there was a tablet optimized version of it, but it's a great app and I use it all the time. The Philips Hue app, which I do use really often on this device for changing the lights. Again, I have Philips Hue lights in this room, so that happens to be really convenient. And of course, I have Chromecast, Hangouts, Google Drive, a bunch of other Google stuff you might see here. The YouTube Capture app, in case for some crazy reason I need to capture a YouTube video on my tablet. Hopefully that never happens. And you can see this this folder I made here. I think it's funny because it's just a bunch of the Apple apps that I don't use and I don't have any place to put them, and they named it Productivity, which is funny because, I mean, they're not productivity apps, they're just Apple apps, but good on you, Apple, for naming them in a way that makes me want to check on it once in a while. I have a couple of games. Real Racing 3, I play that once in a while. NBA 2K14, I play that once in a blue moon. And Virtual Table Tennis, which is actually probably my most played game on this device. Google Maps, Google Docs, Audible again, and that's about it. So yeah, there you have my iPad setup. Again, no fancy launcher tricks or anything. This is iOS 7. I'm not using any of the beta here, but I am using this tablet quite often simply to consume media. Again, I use Feedly and Pocket and YouTube a lot on this iPad. Alrighty, so lastly, it's the classic in the tech community anyway. It's the what's on my dock, or I guess what's on my computer video. So this is my 2013 Mac Pro. You saw it in the setup tour video if you've seen that, and the two 4K displays attached. I also have a 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro that I showed you in a previous video, and both of these machines are running macOS 10 Mavericks. I haven't installed the Yosemite beta yet, but I do plan on upgrading to Yosemite as soon as it's available. So this is one of the two displays. I actually can't record both of them at the same time, but as you can see, I don't really keep a whole lot on the desktop. I have some folders over on the right for projects I'm working on, so I guess there's your sneak peek, and a shortcut to the 8TB RAID array for my external storage. But then other than that, I keep the desktop pretty clean. So I'll link this wallpaper along with all of the other wallpapers you've seen in this video below the like button. So here at the bottom is my dock, and I've actually accumulated a couple things in my dock over the course of, you know, the couple months I've been using this machine. These are the things I keep here. Finder's always there. Chrome I use over Safari, Spotify on a daily basis, Adobe Premiere, Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. Then I have my Google Tasks app. Notational Velocity is where I take notes. Twitter, which is just the Retina Twitter app for Twitter. And then System Preferences, the App Store. Audacity I happen to be using right now. TextEdit, and I'm using QuickTime to record. So these things usually aren't in the dock. And then I have my downloads, Google Chrome, and the trash. Now, I usually have a whole bunch of things open. Like I said, there are two displays here. On the other display, there's a whole bunch of stuff open, but I usually have just the web browser and whatever things I'm directly working with on this monitor. And then on the other monitor, I'll have Twitter and Spotify and Notational Velocity and Google Tasks and the things I don't necessarily work on at the moment. But I'm going to go ahead and swipe in, I guess it's not mission control, but whatever you want to call this thing that shows you the apps that you have shortcutted. These are basically all of the applications I have installed. So you can see all these Apple apps. Again, they make you put them in folders. So I have 2 big folders of Apple apps, the Adobe Extra apps, some Red apps, which are actually really good, Red Giant, which are apps, plugins for my Adobe Premiere video editing software, and then the Logitech apps. And then here are the rest of them. So Chrome again, Safari, App Store, Pages, Keynote, Numbers, Calculator, Dropbox. I use, again, a whole bunch of these apps. Here are all the Adobe Suite apps that I have installed right now. So Adobe Premiere Pro, CC 2014 is the video editing app I use 95% of the time. I use After Effects, I guess when I'm feeling fancy or when I'm doing a specific motion tracking effect. Photoshop is here and Lightroom is here. GIMP is also a really awesome app. If you haven't heard of it, it's great for, it's basically a free version of Photoshop. It's an image manipulation program, and it's pretty impressive. Audacity for my audio recording, the Google Play Music Manager, MPlayer X, which is my version of QuickTime Player except without the gamma shift, so it's a really, really good media player essentially that'll play any format without screwing with your colors. Notational Velocity for the notes again, Google Keep, Skype, which I just about never use, iStat Menus, and I'll show you iStat Menus because iStat Menus is really cool. Up here at the top you can see the temperature and the different measurements of the cores and all of the resources I'm using on this Mac Pro. All of that is from iStat Menus, so you can check that out just by Googling it, or it's in the App Store if you want to check that out. What else is here? CyanogenMod Installer, very popular, CCleaner, Classic, and the Unarchiver for unzipping huge files when I'm sharing them. But that's about it. So that's what's on my Mac, that's what's on my iPad, and that is what is in my dock, that's what's on my phone. That's about it. So again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up below. And if you want to leave a comment asking for someone else to do a video like this, feel free to do that too. There's a subscribe button below if you haven't already clicked that. That'll get you early to see these videos as soon as they come out. Thank you for watching. Happy birthday, Austin. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.